Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Elan's Matchup Maximizer, a podcast presented by Keeping Karlsson, where I, Elan Dubrovsky, do my best to look at next week's schedule and give you tips on how you can be successful in your one-week matchups by gaming the schedule, grabbing the good players in good situations on their teams who are on teams that are going to give you a lot of games played. And this is obviously a very important time of the season. I know if you're in the Keeping Karlsson Ultimate Patron Fantasy League, and if you're still alive, that means congratulations, you've made it to the finals, so you definitely don't want to mess this up. And also, when you're in the finals, you don't have to think about anything else. No future exists. You could drop a superstar player if he's not going to play on the weekend. I guess all the players play on the weekend this coming week, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, this is the time where you have to be cutthroat, make the moves to get yourself the win, and I'm going to be here doing my best to try to help you out. So let's just dive into it. Next week's schedule, March 27th to April 2nd. I'll be honest, like, it's not the kind of schedule where there's like some like obvious teams you have to go after and some obvious teams to avoid. Like, every single team plays 3 or 4 times. First of all, there's no like 2 games played teams that you have to worry about. And like, if you look at Tuesday, there's 20 teams playing, which is like, yeah, not the most light day for sure, but it's also not like super crazy busy. Like, I'm looking at one of my teams where I have a 18-person roster and 14 people play, and like, I have openings on Tuesday, so it's not too bad. I think a lot of people are going to be able to fit someone in if they want to add a streamer for Tuesday. And then Thursday, you know what, also not so busy. Like, one more game, so 22 teams playing. That's probably more borderline. Maybe there's going to be some people who have openings, but theoretically, you might be able to say that this week has like all days where you'll be able to stream someone in, except for, of course, the busy Saturday where there's 26 games. By the way, Sunday is also pretty busy. There's 18 teams playing. But I think, yeah, in a week like this, where there's not like this crazy glut of like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, super busy, no chance of streaming anyone in, and a lot of teams play 4 games. It's like, it looks like around half of the teams play 4 and half the teams play 3. I really think you'll be able to just focus on trying to get the player, you know, the best players, right? Which is always what makes fantasy the most fun, though. You will want to be strategic. And so I think I'm going to start this episode by looking into the teams that just play a lot early in the week, because I think that's a really smart way to stream, is you just grab players on teams that will give you, like, let's say 2 games between Monday and Wednesday, then you stream that person out, try to get a couple games on like Thursday, Friday, or like Thursday, Friday, Sunday, just like lock in those 3 games if you can. And you know, that's a good way to maximize that one roster spot. And looking at the teams that have good schedules early, I guess let's start over in Montreal, where they play Monday, Tuesday. Montreal is actually one of only 2 teams that play Monday, Tuesday. The other is Edmonton. So if you have an opening on Tuesday, then that's going to make a really good way to start your week by streaming in one of those Habs and getting both games. And the nice thing about Montreal is they're scoring a lot of goals lately, and they have a lot of people that are under 50% rostered, a lot of people that you might be able to get in your fantasy league. So they just destroyed Columbus today, 8-2. Raphael Harvey-Pinard with the hat trick. Mike Matheson, 3 assists. Like, there's a lot of guys here who had big games. Mike Hoffman had a goal and 2 assists. Nick Suzuki had a goal and 3 assists. I guess Suzuki's probably the only one that's likely not available to you if you're listening to this, but there are a lot of guys who I think you can get. Kirby Dach actually had a very quiet game. No points somehow on the 8 goals, but I still like Dach in his position on the team, so he might be the guy that I would look to target on Montreal, and maybe he'll be available. Maybe the person who had him is like so frustrated that he didn't get a point, but he did play a lot in that game. He's playing on this line with Guryanov and Drouin, so I guess, yeah, I would say there's that line, or there's the Suzuki, Hoffman, Raphael Harvey-Pinard. And I guess, you know what? Let's focus on, I guess, Hoffman and Raphael Harvey-Pinard, maybe even above Kirby Dach, just because both of those guys are also on the top power play and play on this line with Suzuki, along with Dach and along with Mike Matheson. So if I'm going to give you picks here, I mean, Mike Hoffman's a goal scorer, right? And he takes shots. I like him. Harvey-Pinard had 3 goals on 3 shots. Not very sustainable, but he's in a good spot. So give me Hoffman first, then Dach, then Harvey-Pinard. You know, this is, again, just like a Monday, Tuesday. You know, this is at Buffalo and at Philly, teams that can definitely let in goals, though Carter Hart had a really great game today. So I'm recording this on Saturday night, I should mention. Saturday, March 25th. So you're listening this Sunday morning. So Montreal is a team where you have a few options there. If somehow you can get Mike Matheson, he's now rostered in 34% of leagues. He's playing like a top-end defenseman in fantasy. Like, if you look at his game logs, just points almost every single game, a ton of shots. He's good for blocks even. So if you get get Mike Matheson. Definitely do that. He's like the top streamer for sure of all the people I've mentioned. He'd be the player I want on Montreal the most after Nick Suzuki, maybe even more than Nick Suzuki if defense is hard to find. So I guess there's my rundown there. And also, if you need goaltending, Sam Montembeault has been quite good, and he's been getting a lot of games. So he's going to get one of these games against Buffalo or Philly. I think best case scenario is Allen goes Monday against Buffalo, then you get Montembeault on Tuesday against Philly, and then he'll probably also play one of the games later in the week, or maybe even both of them. So that might be a good volume play. So Montreal is definitely a team to target. Yes, they're Monday, Tuesday, and then Thursday, Saturday. So again, the Montreal guys become even more appealing to you if you could also fit the person in on Thursday. So the other team, like I said, that's playing on Monday, Tuesday is the Edmonton Oilers. They're also on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So same strategy applies. Oilers, of course, as we know, are one of the most difficult teams to stream from because there's like the guys who are rostered everywhere, and then everyone else no one really wants. Like Matthias Ekholm, if you can get him, he's looked really good on the Oilers. We'll see what he does today. I'm actually in the middle of a game right now between Edmonton and Vegas while I'm recording, so I'm not going to give you the final result here. It's currently 2-1 for Vegas, and Edmonton's goal was, one of these goals that you're not really going to get in on, right? Zach Hyman scored, assisted by Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So that's a typical Edmonton goal. Usually McDavid is in there as well. So I'd say probably Matthias Ekholm could be available, though he is, I'm seeing 49% rostered on Yahoo. After that, for anyone lower than him, I mean, we're down into the bottom six. Like, I guess Kyler Yamamoto is playing today with McDavid and Evander Kane. He's been like, okay, he had a goal and an assist at the start of the week against San Jose in the 5-4 win. He also had a goal in the previous game versus Seattle, and then he went pointless against Arizona in the most recent game before today, so we'll see how he does. So actually, Yamamoto is a pretty good stream. Like, he's playing with McDavid. I mean, it's not the guaranteed thing that it used to be back when, like, Alex Chason or whatever, Zach Cassian, like one of these guys, like, someone was actually really cashing in consistently with McDavid. But I guess you could do a lot worse than Yamamoto, especially if you have room again on Tuesday, and especially if you have room on the Thursday. Then you can get 3 games in 4 days to start your week from a guy playing with McDavid, assuming he stays there, which isn't a guarantee. So I guess he'd be your pick. And aside from those guys, like, I don't know, Nick Bjugstad, nah, probably not. Like, he'll probably get a point in those 3 games. So then after those Monday, Tuesday options, then we take a look at the teams who play on Monday, Wednesday, which is still pretty good. And then you could drop for the second half of the week. Like I was saying, we've got 4 teams that play Monday, Wednesday: Colorado, Florida, Minnesota, and the Islanders. So let's just go through those 4 teams. Let's do a reverse order, okay? On the Islanders, obviously things have not been the same since Matt Barzal got injured, but there have been a couple guys on hot streaks that maybe we can grab and get something out of. First of all, if you're in a categories league with hits, I probably don't have to tell you that Cal Clutterbuck is very, very good for hits. He had a random game where he scored 2 goals and an assist against Toronto earlier this week. So imagine if you had him for that. But he's been consistently getting like 5, 4, 7 hits. Like, Clutterbuck is just so clutch in that category. So, but I'm sure if your league is a categories league with hits, then he's probably already rostered. But otherwise, go grab him. If you look at the lines for the Islanders, so Bo Horvat has been playing with Anders Lee and Josh Bailey, at least in today's game against Buffalo. And Josh Bailey, I guess, is the one that could be available to you in your league. But Josh Bailey is not getting any points. He was even being scratched for a while. And today he had no points and no shots. I mean, the Islanders did get shut out by Buffalo 2-0. So obviously no one did very well. Probably the top guy to recommend on the Islanders in terms of points right now is the guy playing on the next line, on Brock Nelson's line. I'm not going to say Pierre Engvall. I don't think he's going to keep it up. But Kyle Palmieri, he's a guy who's helped us in fantasy in the past, and he's looking pretty good right now. He had a goal and an assist in the previous game before the shutout against Columbus. He also had goals in 2 straight games before that. In between, there was a game against Toronto where the Islanders won 7-2 and Palmieri did nothing. But before that, he scored a goal in each of the games against San Jose and Anaheim. Palmieri in a decent spot. He's also getting top power play lately. It's been Palmieri, Lee, Nelson, Horvat, and Dobson. So in your deeper leagues, probably the other 4 are taken. But Kyle Palmieri is out there. So he would probably be my top streamer on the Islanders. And then if you want to go really deep, JG Pajot came back from his injury and was scorching, right? He had points in 4 straight straight games. Now he's been pointless in 2, but I would say that probably bottom 6 and second power play doesn't stop Pajot from doing stuff for us every once in a while. And he also gets you some hits if your league counts that. So I think those would be my 2 picks on the Islanders. You could go for Palmieri and you could go for Pajot, and I think you'll probably get something out of those Monday, Wednesday games against New Jersey and Washington, by the way. So that's the first Monday, Wednesday. Next up, let's go to the Minnesota Wild, who have been without Kirill Kaprizov for a while. And like I talked about with Shams on short shifts, that just means that things have shifted over to Matt Boldy being the new hotness on the team, and you want anyone playing with him. Actually, today was the first game in a while. Minnesota won against Chicago 3-1, and Boldy didn't get a point. So a very surprising result, and only 2 shots. But that just means he's due. But anyways, you can't get Matt Boldy. But the best you can do is get someone on his line. And like we discussed on short shifts with Shams, that person right now has been Marcus Johansson and Joel Eriksson Ek. Joel Eriksson Ek is rostered in 71% of leagues. You're probably not getting him. But Marcus Johansson only rostered in 4% of leagues. And so pointless today in this 3-1 win. But before that, he was on a nice little run. Johansson also was getting top power play in this win today, along with Zuccarello, Ek, Boldy, and Kalen Addison. Oh, look at Kalen Addison is back. Am I going to recommend to add Kalen Addison? No, but you never know. I mean, you probably know. No, just don't take Kalen Addison. Okay, he's probably even going to get healthy scratched again. So forget about him. Klingberg's been injured, so that's why Addison had a shot there for a while. It looked like maybe Spurgeon would get it, but it doesn't matter. I think Marcus Johansson is very interesting. I probably like him even more than Palmieri. Which isn't the biggest thing to say, but you're looking for early week streamers. I think that Marjo could be really good for you. Then obviously on the other line with Kaprizov out, Zuccarello has been stuck playing with Ryan Hartman and Marcus Foligno today. So Sam Steele was there for a little while, but I see today it was Marcus Foligno. So that's a nice bump for him. If you're in a really super deep league, I guess you go Foligno. He had 6 hits. So another guy like a Cal Clutterbuck, he's probably already rostered in your league if hits are somewhat valuable. But at the very least, now he's also in a decent enough spot to score, I guess, though. Matt Zuccarello isn't that great, right? He seems like a good player, but I think he's really benefited. I don't think it's a controversial thing to say that he's benefited from playing with Kaprizov and even strengthened on the power play. And I don't know if he has that chemistry with the Ryan Hartmans and Marcus Folignos of the world. So honestly, at this point, I would even consider, this might be crazy, but I think I would probably want Marcus Johansson over Matt Zuccarello for next week. Let me know if that's really dumb. Zook has been taking some shots, at least. But yeah, I kind of just want the people playing with Boldy, to be honest. Ryan Hartman, though, he did have a goal today, and he took 4 shots. So for whatever that's worth. So yeah, those are the guys you'd want to look at. In terms of people who are potentially available in your league, I would probably take Johansson first, since he was on the top power play. Hartman was on the second power play. But Hartman is obviously a decent enough option over on Minnesota. All right, 2 more teams with Monday, Wednesday. Next up is the Florida Panthers. And, the Boldy on the Panthers is Matthew Tkachuk. You just want people playing with Matthew Tkachuk. He's been so hot lately. And right now, honestly, there's a guy that's looking really appealing if you can get him. That's Anthony Duclair, because today Duclair was playing with Barkov and Tkachuk. So they're loading up their 2 best players on the top line. And that leaves Duclair as the beneficiary. And he's only 12% rostered on Yahoo. You could probably get him. He had an assist today and 5 shots. A lot of people were excited to get Duclair, in the draft, and then stash him in IR and wait for him this whole time. Then he finally came back. Hasn't been that exciting. But if these lines hold, Florida did just lose to the Rangers, so I don't know if that means they're going to shift things up. You'll obviously want to check game day lines on Twitter, at, gamedaytweets.com, to make sure that you're not grabbing a Duclair that's going to get bumped away. But yeah, if he's playing with Barkov and Tkachuk, that's similar to, someone playing on Colorado with McKinnon and Rantanen, right? That's a really prime spot. I've really come around to Matthew Tkachuk being one of the elite players in the league. So yeah, obviously though, you also might be interested in top power play, and Duclair hasn't been getting that because that would make things too easy on the top power play. In this game against the Rangers, it was Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, and Tkachuk, and Brandon Montour. So probably no one that you can grab. So that would leave, if you want a Florida stream, and you maybe do, they're playing Ottawa, who's been having Ferguson in net, and Sogard, who hasn't been that good. And then you'll have Toronto on Wednesday, who might be going back to Matt Murray. And then actually Florida has also Thursday. It's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So a lot better than Minnesota. So Minnesota was Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, I should have mentioned. And the Islanders were Monday, Wednesday, and then Saturday, Sunday. So you have to wait. So Florida becomes the top streamer if you can make room on the Thursday, because then you're getting 3 games in 4 days, and it's against Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal. So they're doing that Eastern Canada road trip, and I think Florida could definitely score some goals. So yeah, get in on Duclair if you can. I'm gonna say it right now. As of now, probably my top streamer of the week, just because of this schedule to start things off. But I guess also one of those Montreal guys. Like if you can get a Harvey Pinard, who they're also like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, but then you need to have room on both Tuesday and Thursday on those busy days. But you're in the finals. You don't need to tell you all this. I'm just kind of. I liked what someone said on the Keeping Carlson Discord. It's like I'm helping people have like some confirmation to the thoughts they were already having, right? So we're just like summarizing stuff. But I'm sure if you're going to your fantasy finals and you've already been scouring the schedule, I guess another guy in Florida, if you can't get Duclair, you could go with A2 Luosterainen, who has been playing with Reinhardt and Verhaeghe in the last game. Sometimes if they shift the lines around, Luosterainen could end up back with a Barkov or a Kachuk. So Luosterainen is someone who was hot for a little while. He's kind of cooled off. He's pointless in his last couple games. Before that, he had an assist in 2 straight games. But yeah, he's not shooting too much. So I would take Duclair. I mean, yeah, like I said, playing with Kachuk and Barkov makes you the number 1 streamer on your team for sure. So then there's one more team that plays on Monday, Wednesday, and that's the Colorado Avalanche. This is another Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. So you're just streaming a player in for those 2 games, and then you're moving on. It's kind of tricky. Evan Rodriguez is back now, so all this Dennis Malgin talk ended up being for nothing. He was a total bust and got bumped from that line with McKinnon and Rantanen pretty quickly. I grabbed him in one league, really annoyed. Should have dropped him. Now I also have Rasmus Sandin, who I was enjoying his deployment, and that's gone away. So it's also annoying when you have these players, and now, okay, these players are clearly drops. They'll be the next 2 people to go if I make it past this week. But anyways, yeah, forget about Malgin at this point. In Colorado's last game against Arizona, and they're playing against Sunday, so you'll have another. It's actually a back-to-back, a Sunday, Monday. So it's always nice if you can get a wraparound, I think is what we decided to call it, a wraparound play, where you can get the Sunday savior to help you win this matchup, and then also an early start to next week. And it's even better if you get Sunday, then Monday, and then Wednesday. So if you can get a Colorado guy, it's the same guys that we've been talking about forever. So in the last game against Arizona, they were rolling with Nichushkin, McKinnon, and Rantanen on the top line. So all people that you can't get, and that really limits the value of anyone else. I guess you can look at the second line, which was Comfer with Newhook and Malgin. So let's look at the power play. And yeah, Comfer was on the top power play with Nichushkin, McKinnon, Rantanen, and of course Cale Makar. Comfer was cold for a little while. People were getting really frustrated that they grabbed him and held him so long just for this playoff schedule. But actually this week he really came through. He has had points in all 3 of the off day games that we talked about last week. So Comfer was definitely really good. He's scored now in 2 straight games. So he's honestly not available in as many leagues as you would expect. He's actually rostered in 49% of leagues, so I think a lot of people are onto it. And if you can't get Comfer, then what? I guess we're looking at an Evan Rodriguez. If we look at, so I was looking at the last game lines actually, but let's look at the practice lines from today, which is probably more of an indication of what we're going to see. And basically it's the same thing, except instead of Malgin on the second line, now it's Evan Rodriguez, who's coming back from his injury. So yeah, Rodriguez doesn't go back to that plum spot with McKinnon and Rantanen, at least for the next game, but things could change by Monday, right? But yeah, maybe then Evan Rodriguez is someone that you look at if you can't get Comfer. It's too bad. It's a really good schedule, but honestly, they're becoming a bit of an Edmonton Oilers at this point, where anyone you want is probably already rostered and everyone else is not too much of a sure thing. You could go on D, get a Sam Girard, I guess. Bowen Byram actually is rostered in a lot of leagues, maybe too much. He's been kind of cold lately, considering, he even had a couple of games when Makar was injured and he was on the top power play. So yeah, that is Colorado, and those are all the teams we've just gone through are teams that will give you 2 games over the 4 days. So I guess the other type of team that we should look at is someone that's just playing 4 days with 3 off days. We'll get to those to finish up our top streaming teams after a quick break. You're listening to the Matchup Maximizer. All right, we are back, and yeah, as promised, I still want to talk about the standard. I kind of went in a different order today, just looking at the early week streams. If you want to just look at someone you're going to grab and hold for the whole week, there are 2 teams that play Tuesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Sunday. So you're skipping that busy Saturday, which you definitely want to do. And so those 2 teams are the Detroit Red Wings and the New York Rangers. They both go Tuesday, Thursday. So obviously you're interested if you have room on both Tuesday and Thursday. And then you're getting 4 games. But even if you can only get 3 games, Tuesday, let's say Friday, Sunday, that's still pretty good. Okay, so let's start with Detroit and take a look. They've been shifting around the lines a whole bunch, trying to get things to work. It's going to be hard to get anything to work when Ville Husso is injured and you're stuck with Hellberg and Nedeljkovic as your goalie pair. Hellberg really blew it in Detroit's previous previous game before today. And then today, you know what, Nedeljkovic, gotta give him his credit. He was pretty decent. He stopped 19 of 21, but unfortunately Detroit couldn't score a goal against Carter Hart and the Philadelphia Flyers. So Detroit got shut out, which means, to me, that usually means that they're going to shift their lines again, because obviously this wasn't too successful. And you can see even mid-game, I'm seeing on Frozen Tools here, all the line combinations I'm seeing of the most common lines are for 3 minutes together. So clearly it was Blender already. So man, how do I even recommend? Maybe I just jump right to Alex Chason, who's been really good on the top power play, getting a lot of power play goals. He's definitely a specialist there, but hey, a goal is a goal. And what am I going to recommend? Joe Veleno, who started the game playing with Raymond and Larkin, just for him to get bumped mid-game, so it's I don't really want to go and start trying to speculate on the forward lines that are for even strength, but I think on the power play, Chason has shown himself to be someone who's going to stick at least for a little bit, so he'd probably be the forward streamer on Detroit if you can get him, and he's still available in a ton of leagues, right? He's only 1% rostered right now, so that's pretty good for a guy who has 7 points in 11 games since coming up. So I think he's the obvious Detroit streamer if you can fit all of those games. And then I guess Jake Wallman is still hanging out as someone kind of worthy. He's only 2% rostered. He had his moment where everyone was grabbing him. He was on a super hot run, and then Wallman cooled off, which is to be expected, but he does have now 2 points in his last 4 games. He's still taking a lot of shots, somehow pointless or shotless, I should say, in today's game against Philly. Before that, it was 4, 3, and 4 shots, and then he's also got blocks. He had 3 blocks in each of the last couple games before today. So Wallman also could be decent for you. And then speaking of teams that are tricky to stream from, a la the Oilers and the Avalanche, the New York Rangers next. Like I said, they also have that Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday schedule. But the top 2 lines are all taken from guys that you're not going to be able to stream in, unfortunately. It's a really stacked team here. Patrick Kane, Trocheck, and Panarin. This is for the win today against Florida. Was one line, and then Zibanejad, Kreider, and Tarasenko. So if you want something, you're looking at, I guess, the third line, the kid line of Lafreniere, Kakko, and Filipino. Lafreniere was super cold for a while, but he did have a goal and 2 assists in today's win. So is that the start of something? I'll be honest, probably not. I don't think so. So I'm not really interested in jumping in on one of those guys, especially because even though it is 4 games in the week, it's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So really, things are only getting hot on Thursday. You've got only 1 game in the first 3 days of the week. So I'd rather get a Monday, Wednesday guy. Then you could reassess and go get a Ranger later. Maybe there's an injury, someone gets bumped up. But I think that would be pretty much the only situation. And I think I'm going to end this episode here with I'm just going to tell you some players who are on hot streaks, okay, that you might be able to add in your league. Because like I said, a lot of teams have similar schedules. You might just want to be going for quality over quantity, potentially, depending on how your lineups shake out. Maybe you just take 3 games from someone versus 4 games from someone else if the person who's playing 3 games is a lot better. So I don't know how deep your league is. For a league that's pretty shallow, Boone Jenner, somehow still only 40% rostered on Yahoo. He continues to be really good. He's scoring goals. Pretty much every second game you're getting a goal from Boone Jenner. So I would definitely be interested in him if you can get him. There's a guy on San Jose, to go to the completely flip side of this. I don't know this person at all. Andrew Agozino has now played 3 games for the team since being called up, and he's gotten a point in each of those games. So again, I'll have to repeat this name for you. It's Andrew Agozino. Okay, and it's not like he's been getting terrible deployment. He's been playing on a line with Couture and Barabanov. Okay, not too bad. Second power play for whatever it's worth. San Jose's schedule is just a boring old Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. But if you have room on Tuesday and Thursday, and this is again, now we're talking about a super deep league. I don't know if he's going to keep it up. I'll have to bring him up. Actually, make a note for this to make sure I bring Agozino up for the show I do tomorrow, the mega show with Brian. And I could give my classic, Brian, who the heck is this guy? And he can tell me if he's someone that he thinks can keep something up. But yeah, nice little hot streak I wanted to point out there. Nick Roy is back for Vegas, and he scored a goal in his first game back. We'll see how he does today. He's still in the middle of this game versus Edmonton. So that's obviously another really deep cut. Maybe I'll give you one kind of in the middle here. Owen Tippett continues to do really well. He had an assist today. He had 2 pointless games, but before that he had 2 assist game and a 3 goal game. So I kind of like Tippett. I just think that he's a good some players you stream in, they might give you nothing, but they have a chance to give you a good multi-point game and really open things up for you. And I feel like Tippett might be in that category. So Philly goes Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So again, you have to see who is available for you or where you have open roster spots. But Tippett is someone who's only rostered in 21% of leagues. So you might be able to get something out of him. There's still Tommy Novak over in Nashville, who I bring up a lot on the Mega Show. He's only a boring Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, but he continues to do well and still isn't rostered in too many leagues. Maybe I'll give you a couple more here. I'm just kind of going through my list of players I've been into lately. I guess I've already talked about Sammy Blais a bunch. He's playing on the line with Verana, and he just scored another goal today, actually, in this game against Anaheim, which they're only done the first period, but like Blais has just scored in 2 straight games. I love his spot in the roster. Like, he's getting power play, and he's so great for hits also. So Sammy Blais, like, if you can get him, St. Louis also one of those Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, like a very interesting ad at this point, and still available in a lot of leagues. Only 13% rostered, Sammy Blais, and he was like 0, not too long ago. Actually, let me give you another Vegas guy who I'm more interested in than Nicholas Roy. There's someone named Pavel Dorofeyev on Vegas, who is another one I'm going to have to ask Brian, like, who is this person? But he's had a really nice start to his tenure here in Vegas. He's only played 10 games so far, but he's up to 7 points after scoring a goal in today's game against Edmonton. He started a run back in December, played 3 games, then went away, but now he's came back to the team on March 12th and has been just scorching ever since. So his name is Pavel Dorofeyev. So if you're in a super deep league, that's another deep cut for you. I'll ask Brian, Dorofeyev versus Agozino, or whatever his name was over on San Jose, of who he'd like moving forward. I guess I could also just always mention like Juuso Välimäki. Like, you want to get someone on the top power play, right? So Arizona is a Monday, Friday, Saturday. So maybe get the Monday game and then move on, or maybe hold on. If you're in a league where there's like not too many bench spots and you actually are full on Tuesday and Thursday already, then it might be sneaky to grab an Arizona guy and just lock in that Monday, Friday. Obviously, Barrett Hayton, he should be taken at this point in most leagues, but if somehow he's not, then Hayton continues to just be really, really great value for anyone who got him out of free agency. So, okay, that was just a bunch of names of guys on my radar right now that you might be able to stream in for your finals matchup. As Matchup Maximizer fans know, I like to end with a Sunday savior, just looking at tomorrow's schedule, or you're listening to this on Sunday, or today's schedule, to see who can help you if you're in a close matchup and you need someone who can help you like ASAP. So some of these teams playing, I just mentioned their names. Like, so St. Louis is playing LA. I already mentioned to go get like a Sammy Blais. Joel Hofer, by the way, is likely going to start since Binnington is playing today. So you could probably get, LA is like a really strong team. It's not like a guaranteed win there, but Hofer's been so good so far that I think I'd be interested in getting him. If you want to get a goalie, if goalie starts are worth more, then yeah, on Arizona, I just mentioned a couple guys. Arizona's playing Colorado. Obviously, like when you're playing against Colorado, it's not that great though. Check and wait and see, because Colorado, like I said, is playing Sunday, Monday, and I read that Jonas Johansson might play one of those games, and if you can get the game against him, that's obviously much better than getting the game against Georgiev. So see if you can try to do that. But yeah, then you have Vancouver against Chicago, and you have Boston against Carolina, and Toronto against Nashville. Nashville might play a backup goalie, by the way, which would be Kevin Lankinen, who really blew people up in the last game. So I'd be nervous to start him, especially against Toronto. But if you need a goalie, again, that would be a place to go. But yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think I've given you some names. I'll be curious. So feel free to tweet, at me at Keeping Carlson. I'll be around tomorrow to help you with your Sunday streamers. Let me know who you're looking at, and I could give you my take. Which, for a single game, who knows? Like, for example, oh, by the way, let me mention another name here on LA. Victor Arvidsson. Is he still available in all leagues? There was a time when I was able to get Arvidsson out of free agency in the cupful, and it wasn't too hard. He's now up to 31% rostered. Arvidsson has been really good lately. He's got 4 goals in his last 4 games, taking a ton of shots. If somehow Arvidsson is still out there, I would definitely go for him. I believe I also saw, let me just bring this up quickly. I believe that Arvidsson was getting top power play. Yeah, Arvidsson's on the top power play lately. So playing with Kopitar, Kempe, Velarde, and Drew Doughty. So this is a good spot, okay? So if somehow Arvidsson is still out there for you, and especially if you're going for the win tomorrow, I definitely, even though I just said that Joel Hofer is a pretty good goalie, I would still take Arvidsson if you can get him. But okay, that's it for me for today. I'm now going to start prepping for the big Sunday show that I'm going to do with Brian tomorrow, where we'll give you a lot more. And again, like in a week like this, where I don't think you have to game the schedule too much potentially, you're just going to want to listen to the mega show where we're going to talk about a bunch of guys on hot streaks, and more than just the guys I mentioned here at the end of the show, and get Brian's take on who he thinks will be able to help you next week. And also we'll talk about some guys on cold streaks that you might need to consider dropping, especially if the schedule isn't that good. So hope you've been enjoying this run of shows. This has been a fun experiment, jumping on and doing a podcast just where I talk by myself like this. Definitely open for feedback on if we want to do things differently next year. I'll probably jump in and do one more Matchup Maximizer next week, but obviously this series is coming to a close shortly, and hopefully this will be the last one you listen to before you win your championship if you're in the couple finals next week. So good luck to everyone who has made it that far. It's a huge accomplishment, and if you're going to win your couple division, whether it's in tier 1 or whether it's down in like tier 7 or 8, you're going to win a cool custom couple t-shirt, and you're going to be a champion. You're going to be able to brag about that forever. Winning couple division is no easy task. So good luck to everyone. And even if you're not in the couple finals, maybe in your home league, I just wish you all the best, and I hope that I was able to give you some good advice here. So I'll stop blabbing right now. See you on the Mega Show tomorrow. Have a great week, and keep on maximizing those rosters to win those matchups. See ya!